Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Mike D'Ambrosio, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome into Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio, real estate professional and your host. We hope you are enjoying our new podcast formats, the same great information and education all of our listeners are accustomed to with the benefit of minimal commercial interruptions. We love that. You can download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or simply go to our website. That's reradiolive.com, reradiolive.com. And you can download our app, the RE Radio Live app, or in the iTunes store. And you can also go to your podcast app, and please, you can rate the show. We love to have your rave reviews and feedback. And for all things real estate or podcast related, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can go to MikeDSells.com or email me, Mike at reradiolive.com. That's Mike at reradiolive.com. You can always call or text in questions. 408-630-0101, 408-630-01. I thought I just said my number wrong. 408-630-0101. I know my own number. And and anything you guys are looking for, content, questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Super excited about our guests today. I have a guest other than Laura in today. So we have Zach Mattos, Financial Advisor with Northwestern Mutual in the studio today. Zach, how you doing?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Good. Thanks for coming in. And so we're going to talk a lot about, we've had financial advisors on in the past, and I really want to talk to Zach about, he's super sharp with working with people that own their own businesses. We're going to talk about kind of typical clients that Zach works with, real estate related. We're going to talk about if you own real estate, how to leverage that, when to start seeing someone like Zach and talking to a financial advisor like Zach and all that good stuff. So I know he's got a lot of information we're going to get to, and super excited to have him on. So Zach, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, your history in the financial advising space, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Happy to. So straight out of college at San Diego State University, I got into this financial planning business.
Aztecs, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. And I stuck around there because San Diego is a tough place to leave.
Yeah, I bet.
Extremely tough, and got my practice going there and built it up from 2004 until 2010. And at that point, my wife and I, who had been dating in college and got married in San Diego, who both happened to be from the Silicon Valley, were expecting our first kid, 2010. Right. And we took a cold, hard look at everything in our lives and said, let's get the heck out of here. Yeah. Albeit as great as it is, and let's get back to the Bay Area. And I thought it was going to be a tremendous opportunity, and it turned out to be for my business because of what's going on up here with companies, and people, and just professionals all over the Bay Area. So it's been a good 2004 to now we're in 2017. I had 13 years of doing financial planning, and I'm working with your everyday households that are kind of creeping into that higher income echelon. Pretty much everybody that we're talking to initially is on their way to or pretty much exceeding the $500,000 of household income. Okay. And they have a considerable amount. I wouldn't say considerable, but they're getting a decent amount, a scary amount to manage on your own of invested money. Okay. And they're kind of just wanting some guidance with the whole planning things out. A lot of family-oriented people, and because I'm self-employed, a lot of self-employed people. Right. Love working with them.
Okay, so just to summarize, self-employed business owners, people that are starting to get in that upper level income bracket with some, good amount of assets, both, and when you talk about a certain amount of assets, and what type of assets are we talking about? People that have what?
People that have investment accounts, whether they're retirement accounts or just regular old brokerage investment accounts, with a value that they've either built up on their own to this point and have been comfortable with it, or they're kind of thinking they're busy with their career, making $500,000 or more, and not giving it as much love as they once did and attention as they once did. Yeah. And real estate is, I'll just tell you, real estate is everything in our conversations, especially around retirement income. Because
okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
It's the reason I like working with real estate professionals is because they're, to the extent that they work hard and they're very well compensated.
Yeah.
And
see, we work hard. See, that's someone verifying that. We're not at Starbucks having coffee for 6 hours a day and just hanging out.
Right,
you know, we actually work hard.
And Mike gave me about $35.29 to say that. So
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah,
I'll pay you later. Yeah. I'll pay you later.
Yeah, it's an IOU. Let me post it, actually. If you are trying to be somebody in their 60s that has enough financial viability to stop working to life expectancy, if you have no real estate other than the home you live in, which you can't turn into income because it's your home, you better have a lot of money parked in investment accounts. That's number one. Number two, deriving every dollar of monthly income that you have from the age of 60, 65 to perpetuity from an investment account is a scary, scary world, because even in a conservatively managed portfolio, there's going to be big dips.
Yeah.
And you're still going to need your income. So you'll have to pull out of a portfolio that just got knocked around.
Right.
So when I talk to younger professionals that just have a primary residence, I'm always asking them to kind of play visionary and say, so is this your forever home? Half the time it's no, because they just got into it and they're going to expand and do better and have a bigger family and whatnot. So I'm always trying to get them to vision their current home as their future rental property. Because if you look at how much money you have to have in the bank at 60, it's sliced into a third if you have something that pays you to perpetuity, like a paid off piece of real estate, like the first home you bought. So I don't feel like a lot of advisors do that out there. They want to just talk about certain products or services. And
that's why we're going to work together then, because, a lot of those people need to buy some real estate. So.
Absolutely. The next one.
But yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think, the key to wealth, in my opinion, is real estate. It was one of the major keys to wealth.
Unequivocally.
I mean, if you talk to a lot of people out there that are maybe they're in the boomer generation or a little bit older, and they're wealthy, a lot of them have rental property or have a shopping center, something that's going to be, giving them income on a monthly basis that's never going to stop.
Right.
So.
And the one risk is you get a tenant that moves out on you, but we're talking about retirement, your real estate's probably paid off, and the risk is just. Yeah. You have a smaller income until you get a replacement tenant.
That's the great thing about commercial property, though, shopping centers, because you have multiple tenants.
Sure.
So it's very unlikely that all 10 tenants, for example, are going to move out at the same time.
Jump ship on you.
Yeah. So it's usually, if you have one or two, you can manage it. Okay.
Right.
So getting back into, we just got a couple more minutes before the break, and then we'll get into some more on the other side. Where are you typically finding clients? How are you meeting clients? For people out there listening, other than people listening to the podcast that might call you, how are you?
Great question. Great question. And that's the survival game. There's a lot of competent people that are educated. They know a lot about money, and they come in to be a financial services professional, but they can't build up a clientele that's sufficient enough as far as income producing to make it as a business, and they leave as competent as they were. And it's all about who you get referred to.
Yeah.
And so I would say with confidence, 98% of every single client I have, if I could map it out on a wall, came from a personal introduction.
Yeah.
You got to talk to Zach. You should meet Zach. They come in 10 to 15 to 20 a week now from clients, because I intentionally spend the last 10 minutes of my meetings with folks. I've met with you before, opportunistically, to see if there was any way we could work together. And before that meeting, I would just, whether it's the night before or the morning of, I would look at who Mike D'Ambrosio might know on social media or whatnot, or in your office. And after spending 30, 40 minutes with me, you know how I work and what my planning philosophies are. So it's kind of easy to brainstorm who would be a relevant introduction. So I'd say personal introduction is 98%.
Yeah. No, I'm very similar in the way I do business as well. I think referral business is one of the best ways to do business, just because you already have someone that knows you, likes you, trusts you.
Totally.
Doing that. So, okay. Now, as far as making an introduction, sometimes you get introduced to someone that's already working with somebody.
Right.
That's, they have a financial advisor, or maybe they just feel like they're too far in the deep end.
Yeah.
That, they just feel like they they don't even need help.
Sure.
So is it ever too late to work with someone like you, with a financial advisor that works the way you do, or how does that operate?
It's such a prominent thought out there, especially when people are making good money. It's not like they just have no strategies and they're desperate. There are some financial advisors that have the delusion that every single person is desperate for their help and is devastated without them. But perfect example, last night on a Sunday night, and I took the call because the guy who referred him to me was a really good client. This guy in his late 30s, his wife's in her late 30s as well. They have a household income of like $630,000. If you summed up the balance of all their accounts, it's like $3.5 million just money in accounts. They don't own a home yet. Here comes a great referral for you.
Thank you.
He lives in San Francisco.
I'm going to hold you to this. This is on podcast. This is etched in time.
We're not dropping names live, but I got someone for you. Pays $6,000 a month rent in San Francisco.
Oh, forget
Just
that.
had his first kid, so needs to start thinking about getting out of San Francisco.
Right.
Anyhow, this person on paper doesn't need to talk to a financial professional. They've got it all handled. The focus of my practice is a stress test where we'll take inventory of everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And just map it out to perpetuity to show you how your life is very likely to look if you keep going the way you're already planning before you even met me. That tool allows me to see where the gaps are and where we can really come in and help. Could go nowhere, but then I just always blame it on the person referred. Hey, the conversation went nowhere. Go turn around to Dave and tell him, thanks a lot for nothing.
Exactly.
Wasted my 30 minutes.
No, that's good. I mean, I think it's good to lay out that plan, and we've done it together as well as far on my personal financials. So, okay, we got to take a quick break. We got a lot more to get to on the other side. Zach Mattos, a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual, is in studio today. Happy to have him on.
Yeah.
I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. This is Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. Stick around. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Do you know Mike D'Ambrosio, reputable real estate professional in the Silicon Valley? He was born and raised here in Silicon Valley. He's very excited to be working in a geographic area that he loves and knows well. He firmly believes that this is the best place to live in the entire country. He specializes in Bay Area real estate. Are your family's needs changing? Are your parents in need of changing living conditions? Are your children first-time home buyers? Do you just want to expand your income revenue stream through real estate investments? He would be happy to meet with you and discuss your options while explaining the advantages of using his team to expand your opportunities of owning real estate in the Bay Area. He's dedicated to providing you quality, honesty, and creativity in every real estate transaction. He's highly recommended by many for his attention to his clients' needs and by making sure that your experience is as enjoyable and as painless as possible. Real estate transactions are not small tasks, and that's why they should be done efficiently, smartly, and as thoroughly as possible. That's his promise to you. Whether you're buying or selling, let him put his expertise and experience to work for you and make your transaction a smooth and enjoyable one. The time is now. Don't let another opportunity slip by. Call him directly at 408-630-0101. Email Mike at MikeDsells.com or visit his website, MikeDsells.com. Cal BRE number 0184192. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back in. This is Mike D'Ambrosio with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. Happy to have you guys on. And Zach Mattos, a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual, is in the studio today. A lot of great information. For all information, Real Estate Radio Live, go to reradiolive.com. All right, Zach, let's talk a little bit more about, from a financial advising standpoint, on the real estate side of things. One of the things you said on the previous segment is definitely like to encourage owning real estate, rental property for income, down the road as you go towards retirement. Talk a little bit more about that, a little bit more about how you use real estate as part of your financial advising practice. Yep.
So the typical response that I'll hear when I ask a client how they're planning on getting into their next house would be, if they're not content with the current house as the forever home, is, well, just look at the equity I have now, and in 3 years I'm ready to buy another house. Hopefully we can just sell this place and then upgrade and buy the next one.
Yeah.
And it's very typical, and it's, I don't want to say short-sighted, but I always am encouraging people to focus on the income that they're making and their ability to save money for a new down payment in 3 years and buy the next place and get the current place on the market for rent.
Right.
And I'm showing them, I'm running models that show, here's life at 60, XK a month of rent and X out and Y out of a retirement account. That's the other thing, is along the way, the highly compensated people pay a lot of tax money, and it's nice to be able to open up, if you're self-employed, a 401k for your business, a SEP IRA for your business, and put up to $53,000 entirely pre-tax into it. So even the people who do amass a big real estate portfolio, they're still putting healthy amounts of money into the stock market via these contributions to the SEP IRA. Or there's even a way to, inside of your retirement account, buy physical real estate with your 401k or with your SEP IRA. So,
and I can say on my side, like on the real estate side, there's very few salespeople, and I'm one of them, to say, look, when someone calls me, a client I've helped in the past, I help buy a house or whatever, and they're saying, we're thinking about selling this to buy something up. I actively ask them, look, is there anything you do to keep the property?
Anything at all.
Because I firmly believe in keeping real estate property as an investment, and I'm not just going to be the guy out there looking for another listing to list a property where if I see you could keep that to help your life better, do it. And so I totally agree with you on that whole front.
There's the one argument to it would be if it's a condo and there's like an HOA that increases every year, and the margins on what you're going to get for rent aren't that much.
Right.
And it was something you bought really early.
Yeah, there's certain scenarios,
If it's a nice home in a neighborhood that you could rent out for a decent rent, especially if the rent will cover your obligation on the mortgage and property tax. That's just
because
like
someone's paying your mortgage.
Someone's funding your retirement.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what to do outside of that besides buy the next home, rent out the previous one? And I'm 3, 4, 5. I have a client that has a portfolio. The residential real estate alone is $17 million in value, and the notes on them are like $380,000 amongst all of them.
Wow.
Into the 80s or 90 a month of rent, 90K a month rent. And so I see that end of the spectrum. Right. And then I go back, and this is a man, and he's 59. Then I go back to the 35-year-olds who are in their first home, and I'm just taking that insight, saying you don't have to be that guy, but you can be some version of him,
right?
With a blend of money in growth accounts and big old portfolio of paid off real estate, because that's just all, in my mind, philosophically, all retirement is about is being able to enjoy life and not worry anymore because you pounded and grinded for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Now you can just enjoy life, and if you've got checks coming in month after month,
you can definitely enjoy life.
It's way more comfortable than trying to look at the stock market. And even though that's my world, I manage people's money effectively in the ups and downs and get them money out of their accounts when needed. But real estate is, I've seen too much. I've seen too much to turn my back on them and tell them to sell it, buy your new house, and then give me all the money to invest that you didn't use to buy the new house.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about like a really like picture perfect, maybe not picture perfect, but a good example of a client that has a little, real estate, has what type of other accounts should someone be looking at without giving away too much information?
Yeah, for sure.
For your own good, because that's what people hire you to do to help you. But just some things that people should be looking at that maybe they don't know about, other than from listening to this podcast.
So pre-tax accounts for households in the 39.5% federal income tax bracket and the 10% California state tax bracket. So anybody making more than about $490,000 of household income today, everything in excess of that $490 is taxed at essentially 50%.
Yeah.
And it's pretty darn high at that last bracket right up to there. So for example, if you have someone, let's make the math easy and say over $500,000 of income is taxed at 50%. And let's say you've got a guy that makes $600,000. How smart is it to get rid of that last $100,000 of highly taxed income to the extent that household can live off just the $5,000, which I'm sure $40,000 a month, even if it is taxed at 50, there's $20,000 a month you should be able to do. If not, you don't need an advisor. You need a dang budget sheet. You need a budget sheet.
Yeah.
You need to cut some of those expenses.
Yeah.
But where I'm most relevant is helping people set up retirement accounts for their business that give them an opportunity to fund it and a large amount entirely pre-tax. And if your wife doesn't work and you involve her in your business, that allows you to put $53,000 a year in, and your wife, if she's involved with the business, to put $53,000. So it enables a household to get about $106,000 into an account that you can just have it sit in cash. So it's taking it from one of your accounts and putting it into the other. But then on your tax forms the next year, you get to write in a $106,000 tax deduction and save essentially $50,000 in taxes you would have paid.
Wow.
Now, what to do with that money once it's in there is entirely up to, the plan you work with your advisor. Do you want to leave it in there in cash? Are you afraid of investing it? If you're young and you've got time, you should invest it, and you should grow that money at least an 8% per year average annual growth rate. So that's where we're portfolio managers. We also help people insure the risks away. Like when people start having families, buying life insurance, disability insurance.
Yeah.
That's not something people just get up and go do. They have to kind of get nudged into it. It's a real big part of my practice because if someone dies or loses the ability to work during working years, those accounts get spent down quick, and the real estate, that prime real estate, might have to get tapped into. So
yeah,
that is like the first thing we handle for folks before talking about wealth accumulation. But going back to your question, the long and short of it is types of accounts are retirement-focused accounts and Roths. Roths for highly compensated people are doable. You just have to do some workaround. You have to deposit it into a traditional IRA first and then convert that traditional IRA into a Roth. That is something anybody of any income can do with a couple of other, bullet points below that, fine print attorney stuff. But a lot of people think that once you make over $100,000 or whatever the phase outs are, $190,000, you cannot fund a Roth IRA. You can. And again, being the retiree, having a handful of retiree clients, having a big bucket of money that's 100% accessible, zero income taxes, is huge. Because who knows who's going to be in office in the year 2040 and what our tax rate's going to be. So if you've got $500,000 parked in an account that you can just draw money out of zero taxes, that helps a ton.
Got it. Okay. Let's talk briefly on life insurance really quick. We've just got another couple minutes, but what do's and don'ts can you give people out there listening for life insurance? I know, I've been, working with different financial advisors, and we work together, and I just at some point you feel like, especially for the younger generation, it's kind of a morbid subject.
That sucks to talk about.
But so talk about that. What's a healthy amount of life insurance? Maybe what do you do? Yeah, you talk to 5 different planners, financial advisors, and you'll probably hear 5 different philosophies on this, like the rule of thumb, how much. And with my experience and the people I've helped out, and I've paid 4 death claims on policies I sold, which is just crazy. The worst thing ever. But it's like, how much worse would it be if that check wasn't there? If you're working and you have a family, the most amount of life insurance you should have is a check big enough to replace the income you would have made if you didn't die until all your kids are out of the house. Okay. So if you just had your first kid, and to make the math really easy here, you're making $100,000 a year, and you got that 18 years of that is $1.8 million. You don't need $1.8 million of life insurance, because if you pass away and you had life insurance and it pays, that's a lump sum check that the beneficiary gets, and we're going to assume that they take it and invest it, not just have it sit in cash. So if you're making $100K a year, you have a newborn, and you're trying to replace your income for the next 18 years, which is going to be $1.8 million, you probably need about $1.2 million, and that'll replace the whole 1.8 due to the interest. Right. So I would just say replace the income that you would have made until your kids are out of the house, and you've done a good job. And what do you say to single people out there for life insurance? Oh man, I say to the single people, it's really hard for me to connect with them, because they just, well, first of all, if I was single myself personally, I wouldn't, unless I was doing really well and looking for places to park money to accumulate it and grow it, I wouldn't be looking at life insurance. Yeah. But there is a unique way you can use life insurance contracts to actually compile cash savings over a very long period of time. So other than that, I do have some single clients that have huge life insurance policies, but it's because of that latter point. They're using it as a bastion to accumulate cash.
But from young and
You're
single
not
and
going to
making
Vegas every couple of weeks?
That's what I'm competing with the BMWs and the Mercedes, and I'm losing hard.
Yeah. All right, we just got another 30, 40 seconds, but anything else you wanted to wrap up on? And we're going to have you back on the show. We got a lot more to talk about, but anything else?
Sure. I would say just be open. If it's someone that's been around a while, and you'll find, advisors that are typically newer to the profession, really eager and needing to get a lot of clients in very quickly. So if someone's been around for a while and they contact you, or if I contact you, a 15, 20-minute phone call to stress test your situation cannot hurt. I know that there's a prospect that it won't lead to anything, that it's a possibility, but I'm willing to bet that there's some way for me to be relevant if it's not now, down the line. So just sit down and look at it at least once a year. Sit down and objectively look at how your life's going to look if you keep planning the way you're planning at least once a year.
All right.
That's my sage advice there.
There you go. All right. How can people get a hold of you? Phone number, email.
Yeah, I'm going to go with my cell phone. Good old San Diego area code 619.
There you go.
807-5476. And I'm always on the cell. My email is Zachary, ZACHARY, .Mattos, MATTOS, @NM, like Nancy Mary.com. And if you just put my name, Zach, or Zachary Mattos, into the Google search bar, the first link that'll come up is my website.
Cool. All right, very good, Zach. Awesome job. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And for anything else, Real Estate Radio Live, you go to RERadiolive.com, or you can check out my website, MikeDsells.com. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great week.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.